Introducing our third man in the ring, our referee in charge of the action, Thomas Taylor.
As Terence Crawford, the undefeated fighter from right here in Omaha, and he has this city abuzz, I assure you.
Okay. So, Canelo Alvarez!
To give the instructions.
Fight night at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas pulsed with electricity long before the first bell. 70,000 voices roared beneath the blazing lights, a sea of flags, chants, and restless anticipation. In one corner stood Canelo Alvarez, the embodiment of Mexican pride, a warrior whose legacy was built on blood, sweat, and more than a decade of dominance. Opposite him was Terence "Bud" Crawford, the flawless technician, undefeated and often whispered about as the true pound-for-pound king. Yet he had never faced a challenge of this scale. This wasn't just another fight. It was a generational clash. Power against precision. The established king against a relentless challenger determined to carve his name into history. Everyone in the arena could feel it. The fighters knew it. And as cameras swept across the roaring stadium, it was clear this night was destined to be remembered. Backstage, the tension told its own story. Canelo sat composed, almost stone-faced, as his hands were wrapped in the ritual he had repeated countless times before. His eyes were fixed, unblinking, as though he could already see each strike he planned to land. His warm-up was calm and controlled, a predator conserving energy before the hunt. Crawford, in contrast, was restless. He paced like a caged animal, snapping into shadowboxing with sharp precision, switching fluidly between orthodox and southpaw. Every feint, every pivot looked like a rehearsal for the storm he was ready to unleash. Then came the walkouts. Canelo emerged first, greeted by an eruption of cheers as Mexican flags painted the arena red, white, and green. His stride was steady, confident, the march of a champion who had walked this path countless times. Moments later, Crawford followed. His face was carved from stone, his focus razor-sharp. No theatrics, no distractions, just a man walking toward destiny, carrying an aura that demanded respect. Confidence filled the air as the two finally stood face-to-face. They stood face-to-face at the center of the ring. The noise was deafening, a thunderous wave that swallowed the referee's words. Nobody cared about instructions. The arena already knew history was about to unfold. The bell rang. Canelo wasted no time. He surged forward like a predator, gloves high, ripping shots to the body. Crawford circled with icy calm, eyes tracking every move. His jab snapped out like a whip, sharp reminders he wasn't there to be bullied. Then came a thudding right hand from Canelo, buried deep into Crawford's ribs. The crack echoed in a split second of silence before the crowd erupted. A statement, "This is my ring." But Crawford didn't flinch. He stayed disciplined, countering with crisp lefts that broke Canelo's rhythm. As the round ticked down, they met in the center, trading fire, Canelo's brute force against Crawford's surgical precision. The bell rang with the fight still on a knife's edge, but one thing was certain: Canelo's physicality would matter. Round 2 began with the same aggression. Canelo cut off the ring, forcing Crawford into corners. Midway through, he ripped a vicious left hook to the body that shoved Crawford backward for the first time. The crowd roared, sensing weakness. But Crawford's response shocked them. He smiled, a sly grin, the kind only fighters wear when they've figured something out. Seconds later, he slipped a Canelo jab and fired a perfect right hand down the middle. Canelo's head snapped back. The arena gasped. It wasn't enough to seize control, but it sent a message. Crawford wasn't going anywhere. By the end of the round, the momentum felt uncertain. Canelo had shown his power. Crawford had shown his composure. The battle lines were drawn. As the fight moved forward, it became a chess match fought with fists. Canelo advanced methodically, gloves tight, punishing the body every chance he got. His strategy was obvious: break Crawford down early, slow the legs, steal the movement. But Crawford adapted. He glided across the ring, switching stances like water, keeping Canelo guessing. From southpaw, his jab cracked Canelo's head back again and again. From orthodox, he peppered him with pinpoint shots, refusing to give the champion comfort. Crawford's right hand kept stinging, scoring clean again and again. Midway through the round, the two clashed at the center ring, unleashing furious flurries. Canelo's hooks whipped around Crawford's guard, while Crawford's counters pierced through with precision. With every exchange, the noise inside Allegiant Stadium swelled. By the bell, the shift was undeniable. Crawford wasn't just surviving anymore. He was finding his rhythm. Canelo came out hot in the next round, determined to snatch back control. His punches pounded Crawford's body like sledgehammers, each thud echoing across the canvas, drawing wild cheers from the crowd. He strung his combinations together with ruthless intent, left hook to the ribs, straight right upstairs, another hook crashing into the midsection. For a moment, Crawford slowed. His movement lost its fluidity. Then came the moment that split the arena wide open. Canelo unleashed a crushing right hand to the temple that staggered Crawford. Gasps rippled through the stadium. But instead of retreating, Crawford fired back instantly with a perfectly timed uppercut that ripped through Canelo's guard. Canelo's head snapped back, and in that instant, momentum flipped. What followed was pure chaos, the kind that belongs on highlight reels. Both men stood their ground at the center ring, trading savage blows. Canelo swung with raw power. Crawford answered with surgical counters. Neither man yielded. By the time the bell rang, the entire stadium was on its feet, shaking with energy. This wasn't just a fight anymore. It was a war, and neither champion was willing to break first. The atmosphere grew suffocating with tension. Every landed punch drew a roar. Every slip, every miss, a gasp. Still, Canelo pressed forward, hammering the body with the kind of punishment that had broken opponents for years. Each hook reverberated like a drumbeat, a reminder of his legendary power. But Crawford refused to be bullied. His jab turned into a razor blade, snapping into Canelo's face with sniper precision. Every strike was measured, disruptive, and exact. Then midway through the round, Crawford's timing struck gold. As Canelo lunged in with a looping hook, Crawford slipped inside and unleashed a short, crisp left hand straight to the jaw. For a split second, Canelo froze, blinking to clear his head. The crowd erupted. Was this the opening? Crawford didn't rush it. He stayed composed, peppering Canelo with clean, surgical shots, a reminder that he was very much in command. Control of the fight hung in the balance. When the bell rang, neither man had dominated, but one truth was clear. This had become a war of attrition. It wasn't about who could throw more punches, it was about who could endure more punishment. Round 6 opened with urgency. Both fighters sensed a turning point. Canelo charged forward in explosive bursts, hurling heavy combinations with bad intentions. But this time, his accuracy betrayed him. Shots that once landed clean now thudded harmlessly against Crawford's gloves or sliced through empty air. Crawford, in contrast, was razor-sharp. He slipped, pivoted, and glided just out of reach, darting in and out of range. Each time Canelo missed, Crawford made him pay, tagging him with crisp, surgical shots that kept piling up. Crawford peppered Canelo with quick jabs and crisp counters. Each strike wasn't just scoring. It was sending a message. His persistence began to chip away at Canelo's composure. By the halfway mark of the round, the contrast in styles was stark. Canelo hunted for a single decisive blow, while Crawford carved out control punch by punch, steady and relentless. Still, nothing was certain. Both corners barked frantic instructions as the bell rang, the stadium caught between chaos and suspense. The tide was shifting, but the fight remained razor close. For the first time all night, exhaustion crept in. Canelo's movements slowed. His punches, though still dangerous, no longer cracked with the same snap. The relentless pressure of the early rounds dulled into labored steps and heavier breaths. Crawford saw his chance. Slipping inside a sluggish jab, he unleashed a blistering three-punch combination. A stiff jab, a straight left, and a whipping right hook that smashed against Canelo's jaw. The champion stumbled back a half step, his guard split for a moment. The crowd exploded. For the first time, Canelo looked vulnerable. Crawford pressed forward, letting his hands go, a flurry that had fans on their feet. Sensing danger, Canelo bit down and fired back with heavy artillery, but his accuracy faltered. Crawford's defense absorbed the worst of it, and his counters punished every mistake. The bell sounded. Crawford strode confidently back to his corner, while Canelo slumped onto his stool, his team scrambling to revive him. For the first time, it didn't just feel like a fight. It felt like momentum was slipping away from the champion. It felt like the torch might truly be passing. As the final round loomed, the entire crowd was already on its feet. 70,000 voices merged into a deafening roar, knowing the last 3 minutes would decide history. Canelo rose from his stool with determination carved into his face. His body showed the scars of battle, swollen ribs, sweat pouring, lungs straining, but his pride refused to break. Gloves high, he marched to the center of the ring. Across from him, Crawford was calm, cold, and composed. His eyes locked on Canelo's with the look of a man who had been waiting his whole life for this moment. The bell echoed through Allegiant Stadium. Both men charged. Canelo came out firing, ripping combinations to the body, swinging upstairs, and throwing everything he had in search of one last miracle. The crowd roared with every punch, urging their hero forward. But Crawford's composure never cracked. He slipped, blocked, and punished Canelo with sharp counters that landed flush. Halfway through the round came the defining moment. Canelo lunged with a looping right. Crawford read it, stepped inside, and detonated a straight right down the middle that snapped Canelo's head back. Before the gasps could even die, Crawford followed with a vicious left hook that staggered the champion onto shaky legs. The arena erupted into chaos, screams, disbelief, and chants of Crawford, echoing across the stadium. Sensing blood, Crawford swarmed. His punches flowed in ruthless flurries, razor jabs, slicing uppercuts, and hooks ripping through Canelo's guard. Every shot landed clean, unanswered. Canelo's back hit the ropes. His counters grew wild, desperate, fueled only by pride. The final 30 seconds stretched into eternity as Crawford commanded the ring, unleashing everything. But Canelo refused to fold. He willed himself through the storm, fighting on heart alone. Then the bell rang. Both men staggered to their corners, drenched in sweat, faces carved by battle. The arena shook, alive with the electricity of what they had just witnessed. A war for the ages. At the center ring, the fighters stood side by side, chests heaving, waiting for the verdict. The announcer's voice boomed across the silent stadium. Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. All 3 judges score the contest 78-74. For your winner, by unanimous decision. The pause lasted only a heartbeat, but it felt eternal. Terence "Bud" Crawford. The arena exploded into chaos. Some fans erupted in cheers, others stood frozen in disbelief. A tidal wave of shouts and chants swept through Allegiant Stadium. Crawford raised his arms high, triumphant. Across from him, Canelo nodded in respect, a warrior humbled on this night. In his post-fight interview, ever the professional, Canelo spoke with honesty. He was sharper tonight. I gave it everything I had, but he earned this victory. History was sealed. I gave my all, Canelo added. But Crawford was the better man tonight. That's boxing. Calm but proud, Crawford delivered the words that had defined his career. I told the world, skills pay the bills. Tonight, I proved it. Almost instantly, fans and analysts erupted online. Was this the passing of the torch? Had Crawford cemented himself as the undisputed best of his generation? The debate raged across social media and sports networks, the shockwaves stretching far beyond Las Vegas. As the stadium slowly emptied, the energy lingered like smoke after a fire. Canelo Alvarez, the long-reigning king, walked away knowing his throne had finally been shaken. His legacy remained legendary, untouchable in many respects. But for the first time, it looked mortal. Terence Crawford, undefeated and now perched atop the boxing world, left with his name etched into history. He hadn't just won a fight, he had conquered the face of an era. And as fans poured into the Las Vegas night, one question echoed louder than all the others. After toppling Canelo Alvarez, who could possibly stop Terence "Bud" Crawford?